I
Yeah.
was thinking about the Royal Challengers Bangalore song. You know how it goes, the pants are red, the shirt is blue, the golden line shining through. Best first line ever. I was thinking about if you applied that to other teams. So if you take Chennai, for example, you'd say the pants are yellow, the shirt is yellow, the golden lion is also yellow.
Well, that's going to be my intro for this game.
Yeah, that's
The most boring intro ever.
Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerd Podcast. I am James. I'm joined with Benji again. Yay! And Zach too. And Zach is a happy little munchkin down there because, or actually, I don't know where he is on the screen for you if you're recording. For me, he's a happy little munchkin down there because RCB have won, and it was a good win as well. So they were sent in to bat first. And it looks like they were a few runs short to me. I thought by the end of their innings, and we'll go on to their batting innings first, but I thought they were about 15, 20 runs short by the end of it, but they defended it incredibly well. So, Zach, do you want to kick us off and talk about, first of all, the batting woes of the top order, bar Faf?
Well, the previous few games, it has been an issue for Royal Challengers having those top three not doing as well as you'd like them to. And Virat Kohli, it's getting a golden duck. It's not great for him, especially when he's had a couple run outs this tournament. I think his confidence is down. I don't think he's necessarily not in form because we've seen him play some really good innings. I think it's just a case of you just find ways of getting out, and I can relate with Kohli hitting your first ball straight to the man. I know what that's like. So yeah, it's not great, but yeah, the story of Royal Challengers innings is Faf du Plessis scoring at 96 off 64 is what we want to see from him most games. And he did it a lot for Chennai as well. He'd take his time, maybe score 20 off 20, 30 off 30, and then accelerate in the last 10. And it was really awesome to watch. I think there was a shot where he hit one straight down the ground, which is crisp. It was just beautiful. Glenn Maxwell, he did all right until he picked out Jason Holder. Siyash Prabhadesai, again, looked good until he played an awful shot. So yeah, I think it was a good innings. But I agree with you, James. I think at the end of the innings, I think we were short by like 15, 20 runs. I was thinking at one stage, with Dinesh Karthik still to come in, Harshal Patel still to come in, we can push for that 200. But so I was a little worried. And I was worried by the man, Jason Holder, who had a very good time with the ball and a good time with the bat. So James, do you want to talk about the bowling of luck now?
Absolutely, because it started really well with Chimera taking 2 wickets in the first over. And then Chimera kind of went downhill after that. He got slapped around a bit. Avesh Khan did a bit of a middling performance. Krunal Pandya actually looked really quite good. Again, some power play spin, which we love to see. And Jason Holder was by far the standout performer, getting some of that tennis ball bounce off what was a really good surface for a tall man. And yeah, he took a couple of wickets and bowled incredibly well at the death. Ravi Bishnoi had a bit of a stinker. He didn't bowl well and he paid the price. And then Marcus Stoinis bowled one over. I think I understood why they brought him on, because they replaced Krunal Pandya in one over with Marcus Stoinis, because they were thinking, well, there's a lot of bounce here. And Marcus Stoinis bowls a heavy ball, as we like to say. Don't really know what that means, but the balls he bowls are heavy. And it didn't work. He went for 14, got taken out straight away. But yeah, I thought RCB definitely slowed down. And I wonder, Benji, what you think. How much of it do you think had to do with the fact that Faf was on like upper 90s and they were kind of looking for that century?
Yeah, I think that did. And I think the thing that really showed us that is if you just look at Dinesh Karthik, who only hit one boundary in his whole innings of 8 balls. Normally a DK innings is coming out and hitting the boundary every other ball. That's what we've seen of him during this tournament. But I think, and it's the right thing to do in cricket. If your pal's in the 90s, you give him the strike. And like when your pal is also Faf du Plessis, who hits a long ball, the man can swing a bat and hits a long ball. Like it's okay to do that, to give him that strike. But I think where you then lose that is you've got someone like Dinesh Karthik who didn't come in until like the 18th over. Actually, because they're sticking to that very same plan in their head, when things like that happen and you're trying to be a little bit more fluid, it may detract from your game a little bit. So like Shahbaz Ahmed came in and hit 26 off 22. Actually, would it have been better to send DK out then, give him a little bit more time to work with Faf while Faf gets towards that century, but also be able to have more of that strike as well? Don't know. There's just an argument there.
Well, the commentators actually said, I think there was 4 overs to go, and they mentioned, why don't they retire out? That's been introduced. Why not do it? But yeah, that could have been an option.
Yeah, I mean, interesting you mentioned retire out, and slight segue, but I agreed actually with Kevin Peterson on the commentary. Like, you always want a set batter in. And what's better than one set batter, 2 set batters? So unless someone's looking horrendous and can't get the ball off, then I think as a rule of thumb, just keep them in, because all the batsmen in there are professional batters who are good at what they do. I would also like to pick up, James, when you said about Marcus Stoinis and him just bowling the 1 over, because and this comes on a little bit into sort of the Lucknow innings, where actually I don't think Lucknow are getting the best out of Marcus Stoinis. So they're giving him this 1 over. Yes, he got slapped all around the place. I can see that. But like it's not his role to bowl 1 over and come in at number 7. That's not how you get the best out of Marcus Stoinis. If you look at him for like other clubs, like if you look at him in the Big Bash League, he bats in that top order and he scores a lot of his runs there. Now, yes, there's an argument to say you score your runs if you bat for longer, but I just think there's something missing in how Lucknow are using Marcus Stoinis. In terms of the rest of the Lucknow innings, Rahul looked all right until he got out. Krunal Pandya looked all right until he got out. Deepak Hooda looked all right until he got. I think that was the story of the whole of the innings. Story got a bit angry. What do you think about Stoinis' send-off for himself from Hazelwood?
Well, I mean, I learned a new word today. Yeah, no, Stoinis was not happy. He got given. He didn't get given a wide. So there was a wide ball that was bowled by, I think it was by Josh Hazelwood.
Yeah.
And it didn't get given, and it was very wide, and it was a bit of a poor call, I thought. And you could tell Stoinis was like, oh, are you sure? That kind of look. And then he went out next ball chopping on, which he lost his head and he lost his wicket. And then, he let out a rather loud expletive on the stump mic. So I don't know if we'll see Marcus Stoinis in the next game. I reckon he could see it like a suspension or something, because it was loud.
Dock you those fair play award points, really, isn't it? Well, yeah, maybe. Who knows? Benj, what I know in the past you've been someone who's been pro Manish Pandey, and this season you've kind of been against Manish Pandey. What do you think Lucknow could do with their batting order to kind of like rejig things? Because you mentioned about Marcus Stoinis batting toward the top of the order for Melbourne Stars. What do you think? Do you think they could make a change or something?
Yeah, I think Manish Pandey at 3 is too high. Like with Sunrisers, I liked him last season, but I think he's a little bit overrated. I think I overrated him a bit last season because he got a couple of good scores. But I think possibly maybe have your top 3 being those overseas, big hitters. And I know the role that Lucknow have got for him is to be a finisher and a pinch hitter. That's the role that they have for him. But if you look at Stoinis' history, he can score lots of runs. Like if you look at where he performs in the other Big Bash in the other leagues, that's his role. So I would suggest almost having Stoinis in that top 3. Then you've got your middle order of Krunal, Deepak Kuya, and Ayesh Badoni, who can be used, situation to situation. And then you've got your Jason Holder to come in and finish. I think it also does depend on who gets out at first, if it's Rahul or if it's Quinton de Kock. Because if Kerr Rahul's out first, you want someone who's a little bit more level-headed than Quinton de Kock. If Quinton de Kock's out first, maybe you put in a bigger hitter. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah. And I think before we go on to the RCB bowling innings, I would say that someone that really impressed me, which Manish Pandey definitely didn't. I think you're right in rejigging the order a bit. I thought Manish Pandey looked terrible. Krunal Pandya looked brilliant. He played such nice shots. I think I like him at 4. I really like him at 4. I think he looked really good. Deepak Hooda didn't look great at all. But he's someone he's inconsistent, but every now and then he'll give you that 30 ball 70. And that's what you want him for, especially when he's batting at 5. So, yeah, I'd be happy if they stuck Stoinis at 3 and then dropped Manish Pandey and stuck literally anybody else in. I think they've got some decent players in the squad, so it'd be worth having a look. But Zach, do you want to talk us through the RCB bowling innings and the magician that is Josh Hazlewood?
Well, yeah, he's awesome. I'm so glad we've got him because for a long time, Royal Challengers haven't had that key bowler. Last season, they had Harshal Patel, obviously, who is still doing great things. He's a bit off today. But yeah, we've just not had that bowler that we can rely on to consistently bowl in the power play, bowl at the death, and not go for many runs. The last person I can think of was when Mitchell Starc played for Royal Challengers, and I think that's like 2014. And he only played a few games because of injury. So yeah, it's really good to see. Mohammad Siraj is starting to look really good. He's not going for nearly as many runs as he was. Glenn Maxwell, he really useful to have him bowl a few overs in the power play. That's really good to see as well that he's watching the podcast. Shabazz Ahmed doesn't go for many runs. I think he's played like 15 IPL games and his economy rate is below 7. And he's bowled in pretty much every one. So that shows that he doesn't give much away to the batsman. And yeah, you can't really look away from Josh Hazlewood's figures, 4 for 25 and 4 overs. And he got the key dismissals. Got Quinton de Kock early. If Quinton de Kock bats the whole of the power play, then, excuse me. If Quinton de Kock bats the whole of the power play, then that's not great. He's going to score an 80 off 40 balls probably. He also got Manish Pandey. There we go. But Ayesh Badoni, he's been looking really good all tournament. And I was thinking, seeing him coming in, knowing that Marcus Stoinis is coming in, to get him, Badoni and Stoinis was what we needed him to do. And yeah, he was the reason we won the game. He's the reason why we didn't need those extra 15 runs. So yeah, awesome stuff from him. I was a bit worried about Krunal Pandya and Jason Holder. I had visions of Jason Holder winning the game for Lucknow Super Giants with some 6s. And they're two very underrated players, I think. Jason Holder has always been a bit underrated. And then Krunal Pandya as well. He's kind of been in the shadow of Hardik a bit. But yeah, he's a very good player. Definitely put him in your fantasy team. Yeah. Heroes and villains, Benji.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I've already said my hero for Lucknow is Jason Holder. I think he bowled well and he tried his best to win the game with the bat as well. In terms of an RCB, I'm going to have to give it to Fafi. I miss him. I miss that top order. I miss that opener who can hit that 70 ball 90. Faf's won Chennai some tournaments, and yeah, it's sad not to see him in the yellow anymore. Especially when he's in imperious form and playing arguably some of his best cricket. Yeah. So hero is RCB's auctioneer's strategy for stealing Faf offers.
That is a beautiful video. Everyone should watch it.
I'm going to say my big hero of the match is Josh Hazlewood. I thought without him, you wouldn't have been able to defend that, what was a bit of a subpar total. And then my villain of the match, I think, has to be Ravi Bishnoi, which I hate to say.
Ravi.
I really don't like to say it, but he didn't bowl well enough. I would also add a bonus villain of KL Rahul, because there was some captaincy decisions there. Because if we look at two of the best leg spinners in the world, in my opinion, and in the league, Ravi Bishnoi and Hasaranga, they both went at least 10 and over. The difference you'll see is the good captain, Bath, takes his leggy out after 2 overs because he realizes he's not going to do anything and he's getting smacked around the park. The less good captain, KL Rahul, leaves Ravi Bishnoi to bowl the remaining overs, and he ends up going at 11.7 and over, which, you know, those were the runs that lost Luton out of the game. Zach, how about you?
Hero for me, definitely Faf du Plessis. I thought he batted incredibly well. Captain's knock, we've been waiting for it since the first game. So yes, glad to see him back into form. Villain for me in this game is actually going to be the umpire, because look now, until when that wide wasn't called, firstly I was like, how is that not a wide? And secondly, I felt sorry for Stoinis because it obviously affected him, and that could have been the difference. You never know. So yeah, the umpire.
Chris Gaffney, I know you're an avid viewer of the show. So just get your act together, mate.
Yeah,
it was a wide.
Chris.
Yeah,
what are you
come on,
playing
Chris.
At?
Yeah,
There you go.
Don't be a Chris. Be a Jason.
So on that really weird note, it is time to end. So thank you very much for watching. We should predict tomorrow's match, which
Punjab
of course
versus Delhi
is a big one. So I'm going to predict that Punjab win, obviously. I really hope that we have a different lineup than the last few games. I hope that we have dropped Odie and Smith by now, but we'll see. And fingers crossed Mike will return, because having that captain as an opening batsman, he's so good, and it really adds a lot to have Mayank and Darwin opening. What are your predictions?
I'm going to predict Punjab win, but I'm going to predict the Punjab have not dropped Odin Smith, and he will still be playing. I think you'll see Bairstow and Livingston and Odin Smith. That's going to be the core of your overseas. But yeah, I think Punjab will do it. Delhi just haven't looked good enough this season. I think they're missing their star bowling. Norkir just isn't right. Mitch Marsh is now ill. The game might not even happen because everyone's got COVID. So it's Punjab. I think Punjab should definitely edge it.
I'm gonna go the other way and actually say, sorry, James, but I think Delhi Capitals have it. Both teams are quite similar in that they've got overseas issues going on in terms of thinking about the balance of their sides, and I think Delhi Capitals, Rishabh Pant, I feel like he's going to have a good game. David Warner is coming back into form. The only thing is, I think the thing that's going to decide it is Rothman Powell or Odeon Smith. One of them has to have a good game for their respective teams, because both teams, they want to be getting into that top 4, and they really need to win this game to do so. Just an interesting thing on the table. Last year, and previous years, Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings, and Delhi Capitals have been the most consistent performers in the IPLs of recent. And currently, they're sat 8th, 9th, and 10th in the table. So yeah, it's not great from those teams.
Well, there we go. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. We are very quickly approaching 300 subscribers. Follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod. You can listen to our podcast as well on the day of the games. It'll be quite late for our Indian viewers, but you can see it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. A big shout out to Cricket for Americans, because they gave us a shout out. They're a lot bigger channel and they're actually very entertaining. So give them a watch if you haven't already, and let them know that we sent you, because
tell us
we do appreciate them.
Tell us in the comments as well if you came from them as well. I think there's Major Merck who has come from Cricket for Americans as well. So yeah, tell us if you have, and we're going to get Nick on this show.
Yeah.
There you go.
And subscriber of the week is Al T for his continuous for his continued support.
Oh,
so
I want to do subscriber of the week. Yeah,
we'll do
new
we
segment.
Can even do subscriber of the day, but yeah, subscriber of the week is a new thing, and
New
Al T
segment.
is the very first one.
Yeah.
So there we
Right,
go.
let's wrap this up.
Bye.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.